Hi guys, Brain here, and welcome to another commentary video today. Today, I'm going for a topic that I feel like I didn't need to explain. Like, I feel like this is something that I shouldn't have to, like, tell people. But, you know, as I have been through the DVD community, through different Twitch streams, through, you know, obviously the cesspool that is DVD Twitter, there seems to be kind of like a misunderstanding as, like, the purpose of slugging and why slugging exists in the game. I've seen a lot of mostly survivors kind of give this take that slugging is just something that killers inherently do to be boring or to be BM-y, but to give bad manners, if you don't know what BM means. But essentially, it's just a way to waste time and to frustrate the other side. But slugging is actually one of the most, like, especially when compared to, like, you know, camping and tunneling, one of the most intelligent things you can do a killer if you do it right that is actually really, really smart. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the actual in-game result, like why slugging actually exists, what it actually does, and why everybody does it, because it's more than just a BM, it's more than just a way to waste somebody's time. It's a way to kind of circumvent certain character weaknesses, so it's really, really important for killers to do. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So why do killers slug? What is the main reason in which killers actually go out and choose this decision to slug? Obviously, if you down somebody and somebody else is nearby, it's pretty convenient to just go over and start your next chase with somebody else. But why even leave that other guy on the floor in the first place? I want to paint you a scenario. So there are certain characters in the game, like Whisker, like Billy, like Nurse, like Blight, that have very, very good map mobility. So they can be at many different points of the map at basically whenever time they want. So bigger maps, like Temple of Purgation, Shelter Woods, Mother's Dwelling, it is not as painful on these types of high movement characters because they essentially have the ability to pressure a gen on the other side of the map because they can essentially be there in like no time flat. They can be there in like 5 seconds, whereas say if you're playing somebody like Myers or Pig, it's going to take you a while to go cross map to pressure a gen if you know somebody is over there. Blight can just, you know, hit M2 and just zoom all the way across the map and be there in no time flat at all. So that's often why you see that characters with high mobility options usually are higher placed on DVD killer tier lists because of their ability to pressure things that are far away, whereas, like, you know, like I said, characters like Myers and Pig, who are just normal 1-15 killers that have no mobility option, kind of really suffer compared to those characters, and that's why they're usually placed more near the bottom. Now you may be asking, what does this have to do with slugging? What does this have to do with slugging? Slugging is your way to pressure other parts of the map without physically being there. It's your way to pressure other parts of the map without physically being there. Let's take that previous example that we talked about. Let's say Mother's Dwelling. Let's say a Blight match versus a Myers match. If I'm playing a Blight match and I understand that somebody's on a gen farther away, whether it be from Discordance because I just took somebody to have barbecue, I see that somebody's on a gen all the way across the map. So I literally have to go from one point of the map on the other, one corner to the other. With Blight, I just press M2, I bump off a few things, and I go rushing over there. I'm at the gen in like 5 seconds, and then I start the chase with the guy that was on the gen. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Like, pretty standard stuff, pretty strong stuff. Stop that gen from getting done. Start the chase with the guy to prevent him from doing it. A, B, C, D, F, G, you know, pretty by-the-book stuff right there. Myers, if I get Mother's Dwelling, and I hook somebody on that hook on the opposite side of the map, I see somebody on the gen super far away, there's not really a way for me to feasibly get there in a timely manner. And honestly, depending on how much progress is on the gen, it might get done before I'm even over there. Gen might get done before I even make it over there. But by the time I physically walk at my normal 115 speed and actually make it over there, the gen might be already done, which is no bueno. That is not good. But what I can do as Myers is if I, instead of hooking that survivor that I downed, I decide to slug them and chase another survivor that's relatively nearby to me, that survivor is now on the ground, incapacitated, and can't do anything. They can crawl around, and that's basically it. They can just crawl around. And then I go and I chase another person, so they're not on a gen. So I'm going and chasing another person, so I am pressuring 2 people on the map at the same time, because one person is just on the floor and can't do anything, so they're not on a gen, and now I'm chasing somebody else, so they can't get on a gen. Now, this is where the key of slugging comes into play, is because that person that I mentioned at the beginning of this example, the one that's cross-map on a gen, right? Like, one corner on the map to the other corner of the map. The person that is on the other corner of the map is now responsible for the things happening on this side of the map. Because, like I said, that person that's down, that's incapacitated, not the status effect, but like quite literally the definition, like they can't do anything, all they can do is crawl around. Like, that person needs to be picked up. That person needs to be picked up. they can't do anything, and they're essentially in what amounts to timeout until somebody comes over and actually does pick them up. That person that was cross-mapped, that person that was literally across all of Mother's Dwelling, now has to get off their gen, so they're no longer doing that gen, run all the way across the map at their normal 100% speed, unless they have, like, you know, light, sprint burst, etc. They have to run all the way across the map now, which is a waste of time, just to go pick this person up and get them back in the game. So despite the fact that Myers himself does not really have a movement option to speak of, I was able to essentially reach across the map, across all of Mother's Dwelling, and stop a person from doing a gen on the opposite side of the map by forcing them to be responsible for somebody that I've slugged all the way on this side of the map. It's a way for characters that don't have mobility options to reach into other parts of the map and bring them together, to try and force them off of objectives and far corners and bring them more into a centralized area. Because if you didn't know this, killers, a very, very good killer strategy is to create these things I call hotspots, where you try to, you know, chase near a gen you know is nearly done, hook near a gen that's nearly done, you know, try to essentially make all of the activity in the game focused in a very, like, particular area. Obviously, this is way, way more important for, like, setup killers like Trapper, but it's just in general, like, a very, very good strategy to use this killer is to try to, you know, force people into this hotspot area. And what slugging does is essentially forces people to congregate in a hotspot area and kind of negate the kind of pressure they would have in the safer corners of the map where you can't reach them. So if you are stuck in a situation where you're frustrated that that you have a killer that's slugging, often it's because that killer typically doesn't have the ability to pressure the map at far ends, far ends of the map. So what they're doing is they're quite literally reaching out and making it as if they had a presence on that side of the map by forcing survivors to congregate, to pick up slugs, to do all this stuff, essentially to reach out and pressure far ends of the map when they may not have the ability to do so by themselves. Now, if you have a nurse that has, like, range, which, you know, thankfully won't be much of a thing anymore pretty soon. If you have a nurse that has, like, you know, they're doing range and they're slugging a bunch, they're just sweaty. Like, that I can agree with you. Like, if you have a nurse that's just, like, slugging everybody out, that nurse does not have trouble traversing the map. She's just sweating. So, yeah, that is that. But, like, you know, a lot of characters slug because they can't pressure far sides of the map. So that is the mechanical reason that people slug. It's not just to BM, it's not to be rude or not to waste your time. There's actually a core mechanic being used there. There's actually a fruitful reason to do it that's kind of filling a hole in the gap of your ability to pressure as killer. So, yeah. Hopefully this helps you understand slugging a little bit more. I didn't think I needed to say this. This game's really, really old at this point, so I figure most people understand, like, the functionality of slugging, but I guess, you know, bias will be bias, and I keep seeing people give really weird takes about slugging and not really understanding why people slug in the first place, so I just felt like explaining it, because, you know, this is a commentary channel, so I give my commentary on things. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out today, but I do upload daily, so I'll see you in the tomorrow zone. But if I do not, well, you know, I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye.